Okay, this is the second. I'm sorry, it's been a while. I know I said I'd make that Dear Fatass. I just started to make one, and I got to the end of this whole long question, and the person asked me to respond to them privately. I'm 100% cool with responding to you privately, but do me a favor and put that at the top of your letter or whatever, so that I know before I read like an 8-page long letter out loud on video, and then find out that I'm not supposed to do it. Because I'm going to respect your privacy if you want me to, okay? But try to put that shit on the top for everyone's convenience. Let's try to find one that is not private. Alright, Tuesday will begin my senior year of high school. Most people are excited, but I can't shake the feeling of being lost. I feel as if I no longer have purpose in life. The better part of my life has been dedicated to my family of 9 children, of which I am the eldest. Ever since I was 8, I have changed diapers, scrubbed floors and walls, and cleaned up everyone's mess. It's a thankless job. Nothing has changed much. The only reason I lived was to serve people I dislike, and now that my time is up, I don't know what to do with myself. This feeling of having no purpose is compounded by the almost constant depression due to recurring sexual, mental, and physical abuse throughout my childhood from both family and my peers. I still haven't forgiven myself for not fighting back or doing anything to prevent being hurt. All of the placebos I have used to dull the pain are no longer working. No amount of knowledge, stuff in my head, no amount of exercise or meditation will work. I just suppose I'm one of those people who can't be happy no matter what happens. Thank you for listening, Fatass. You are great. Listen, you need to seek professional help. If you are aware that you have some problems, especially due to things like fucking, sexual abuse, mental and physical abuse, you need to see a doctor. I am not a psychiatrist. I'm not willing to give you specific advice on something like this because, like I said, I am not a psychiatrist. If one day I become a psychiatrist, you can feel free to come to me. On something like this, you need to seek professional help. There's nothing fucking wrong with that. I have to say that over and over again because people are so scared of it. You're not admitting you're crazy. You're not admitting that you're a broken person or anything by going to seek help, mental help. There's no problem with that. Probably everybody needs to seek some fucking mental help. But if you have issues that you know you have problems with things like constant clinical depression, recurring sexual, mental, physical abuse, something of that nature, that is something that you need to seek professional help for. That's my number one thing to you. The second thing I would say is, if you are just starting your senior year of high school, don't be worried about feeling like your life no longer has purpose, because you have plenty of time to figure that shit out. Life is long. I don't care what the old people say. Old people say life is short because they're almost about to die, okay? Us on the other end of the spectrum, life is very long. You have a long time to figure out what you need to do. But as far as these issues with clinical depression and abuse, you need to seek professional help. For real. Do that before this becomes some more serious issue. I'm not sure if this is really a Dear Fat, whatever, I'll just do it anyway. My friend is a Catholic, or that's what he calls himself anyway. We had a theological discussion, a short one. I asked, why do you believe in your God? How can you be sure? He told me that one time he was driving and a cop pulled up behind him and then threw on his lights and as if he was getting pulled over, and in the same moment he prayed for God to not have the officers pull him over. In the same instant, shortly after praying, the cop went around his car and drove off. This is the interaction with God, or one of his justifications. I thought it was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I was like, what about people on 9/11? I bet they prayed. Why did God not save them from a horrible death, but you from a speeding ticket? He responds, I'm not saying I know why, he just did it. I'm not questioning it. I prayed and I was saved, that's all. I'm like, maybe he wasn't actually pulling you over in the first place. Then he gets offended and says that I'm intolerant to his beliefs or that I'm being offensive. How would you deal with your close friends if they acted so stupidly? This question is similar to my last. I guess you can ask, all right, whatever. How would I deal with people? Listen, I don't have close friends who are that stupid, okay? I couldn't keep those people around. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. If you have someone that's so fucking delusional that they think that because a cop didn't pull them over that that's proof of God, you really might want to consider dropping this person. But that's just from me, man. If this is your best friend or whatever, you're really going to need to figure out a way to work this out. I don't know how old you are. Maybe he'll come into the realization that that's fucking stupid on his own. But I personally do not associate closely with anyone that dumb. At least in these regards. You just can't. I just don't feel comfortable around someone that's stupid. I just feel that they're endangering my existence just by being that dumb near me. So my answer to your question is that I wouldn't deal with them. Depending on your age, you can hope for this person to come to this realization on their own, or you could just not bring it up and ignore it, which might be your best opportunity. Just don't argue religion with this person. If it's no fun for you. If it makes him angry, it's no good. I know several Christians that I can get into really heated arguments with, but nobody's really pissed at each other, you know what I'm saying? But if he's actually going to get angry at you, I recommend that you just don't bring the shit up. It's not worth it. I'm not in the business of deconverting or converting or whatever you want to call it Christians, and I would strongly recommend that you don't get into that business either, because that's not the way to go. That's kind of the same question. I swear I've answered this question. Well, this isn't really a Dear Fatass, but I'll answer this question, and I'll also answer another question that I didn't get a chance to cover in the questions video. What are your specific views on drug policies within the United States? Are there any exceptions to complete prohibition? Are there further regulations or taxes you would put on these drugs or lower existing ones? If so, what rate or range? We need to have complete elimination of prohibition, but we have to have strict control on certain substances. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we should make it possible for you to go down to the 7-Eleven and purchase crack. I'm not going to argue for that because that's ridiculous. Just like I don't think that you should be able to go up to the to the drugstore and purchase Valium without a prescription. A lot of the things with prevention of drugs, it has a lot of issues that aren't really drugs. Okay, drug addiction is a symptom of other problems. Okay, addiction to things like crack and methamphetamines. This is a byproduct of poverty more than anything else. Rich people don't smoke crack because they don't have to. People with a lot of money don't have as much stress some of the times. I know a lot of people will be like, that's not true. But it's true that people on the lower end of the income spectrum have a lot more stress and a lot more fucking problems. With poverty comes crime. With poverty and crime comes depression. With depression comes heavy drug addiction. So really, to address issues like crack, epidemic, heroin, and meth, I would focus more on the issue of poverty. If we have less impoverished people, we'd have less people addicted to hard drugs. That is my 100% firm belief on that issue. The other secondary issue here is education. It's a matter of education. It's a matter of education. I don't know how many times I can say that, but it's a matter of education. Education is a solution to a lot of our problems. Education is a solution to really most of the problems that we have in our society. Problems dealing with religion and racism and sexism and homophobia and drug use and tobacco use, alcohol addiction, the incompetence of our government, the incompetence of our electorate. These are all problems stemming from lack of education. the current drug education program does not work. It only works on stupid people. Only stupid people will actually believe that smoking marijuana will kill you. And the problem that you have here is when you reinforce lies, they assume that you're lying about other things, and it's just not true. Crack is pretty much just as dangerous as they tell you in school, but how the fuck are you supposed to know when you know they've lied to you about other shit? It's about being direct and honest, not about lying. Lying doesn't get you very far. Lying always backfired. Regardless, lying will always backfire eventually. But no, I'm not going to suggest that we make heroin and crack and meth available to the general population. But it has to be available enough to make there be a limited profit motive for criminals. If we can eliminate the criminal empire built by drugs in this country, it'll be a lot easier for us to control drugs. All right? Ending prohibition is not about the free use of drugs. Ending prohibition is about proper regulation and control of drugs. The ending of prohibition will give the federal government and the state governments more control over drug use. That's the goal. The goal is to control addiction and to allow substances that are not dangerous, like marijuana, to be offered to law-abiding citizens. So that's my position on that. This is sort of the question that I wanted to ask. Which is better, a gold or a silver standard, or both? How would a change of this sort from fiat currency affect the economy, taxes, monetary policy? How do you or other contemporaries of this idea address the idea of transition? How would this affect the price of gold and silver? Does this mean that people couldn't mine for silver? I ask this because there are several uses for silver, especially as a semiconductor, computer chips, and other similar devices. See the Modern Marvels episode on silver, etc. How would these be affected, and what would this mean? Would there be a forced redistributing of the way that we mine silver or gold? Also, would one world currency be more or less effective if it would base on either of these metals? What would be the best rate for gold or silver? Wouldn't this mean that we could only print and mint a certain amount of paper and coins to match the amount we have? What if all the people were to draw out and replace all their money with gold? Would this cause an economic collapse? Will we have to change the design of our currency? At least the criticism of metallic standard. Does metallic-based money have inflation, and what are some of the good parts of having a metallic standard? Would it be possible that the Fed could continue to print money that simply wouldn't inflate in value, and thus have a continuing money supply? This is an idea I've heard it come across often. I was wondering if this is possible. If so, is it a bad idea, or if it isn't? If so, why? Would this practice be described? Would this practice I described be discouraging or outright prohibited? If so, it sounds like a complicated issue. It is a complicated issue. As far as gold and silver standard go, this is where I differ on Ron Paul, because he talks about gold standard. I think we can back our currency with any commodity of tangible value. That's what we're going for here. You have to have something to back that money. Even when you take out a loan, you have to have some sort of collateral in certain situations. You have to put up your home for collateral, or your car, or whatever. You're required to have a backup for your money, okay? And the people who print the money should also have a backup for their money. So it doesn't just have to be gold or silver. You get gold, silver, copper. You could even go with things like oil and natural gas, coal. These are commodities with tangible value. Things like oil, natural gas, and coal fluctuate, and that might allow for an increased printing of money, a decreased printing of money, depending on how tightly the prices were controlled on these commodities. You wouldn't have to stop mining silver or gold for use in products. There's no reason you'd have to do that. And you would have to reduce the amount of money in circulation, but the money is worth more. So it's not the same thing. When you can buy something on a gold standard with $100 million that you needed $1 billion of fiat money to purchase, it's really not that big of a deal. And the thing that bugs me about this is TJ did this shit that kind of pissed me off. He was talking about something. I don't know. First, he brought up Ron Paul and Alex Jones in the same sentence as if they're like have similar opinions or something, which kind of pissed me off because it's just not true. But he's like, oh, just the gold standard. Like gold just has value just because we say it has value. Well, that's just not true. That's not true. Gold is not valuable just because it's pretty. Gold is one of the most useful metals we have. Gold is in a lot of shit. In your computers, in your electronics. On my guitar plug is gold tipped. So gold has worth outside of its attractive value. And it's been perceived as valuable for so long that perception it just isn't going to go away. That's why if you're selling somebody a nuclear weapon, you're not taking the payment in cash. You're probably going to take it in big-ass gold bars or diamonds. So gold and silver do have inherent value. But it doesn't just have to be gold or silver. And that would allow for printing of more money when more money was needed. The Federal Reserve or whoever is printing the money takes possession of an equivalent amount of commodity to match up with the money. If prices drop on something like oil, you purchase more oil. If the prices go up, you might sell some and make some money off of that. So it could actually be a way for the federal government to make a profit. Or coal or copper. Not something like iron ore because it's everywhere. It's not worth that much. But even something like scrap metal has inherent tangible value to someone. Something can be made out of that. So all I ask is that the people who print money and give out the big loans, which is essentially giving us the money, have the same requirements that we do when we take out a loan. That we have collateral. That's all that this is about. Excuse me. Let's see. I swear I've answered that question. Here's another question, since I'm just sort of answering questions now. What do you think of Fake Sagan's in his vids? I personally thought he was good and I miss his videos. Would you like to see him return? But it's doubtful. What's your opinion on the Fake Sagan? Fake Sagan, I've been entertained by his videos, okay? But Fake Sagan is an egotist. He thinks his dick is really, really, really big. He thinks that he can beat everyone with it, but he can't. He switches opinions on the drop of a hat to align with against whoever he decides he has an issue with at the time. So intellectually, I can't respect him too much, but I'm not going to say that his videos weren't entertaining. So you can take that answer as you will. I don't know. This is going to be the end for today. I'm sorry. It was kind of convoluted, but I'll do some more shit later. I'll talk to you guys.